The detention facility on Outpost Verexa 9 was supposed to be the most secure structure in this entire sector of the galaxy. Reinforced walls, energy shields, biometric locks, and enough firepower to repel a small invasion force. We prided ourselves on our security measures, which is why what happened that night should have been impossible. My name is Kravos then, and I am the Chief Security Officer for the Verexa Mining Consortium. I have been doing this job for 14 years. I have handled riots, escaped prisoners, sabotage attempts, and even a full-scale pirate assault. I thought I had seen everything. I was wrong. It started 3 weeks ago when we captured a human smuggling vessel trying to sneak through our territory. Smuggling is common enough out here on the frontier. But what made this case special was the cargo. The ship was not carrying weapons or contraband drugs or stolen technology. It was carrying a child. A human child, maybe 6 or 7 years old. Small, skinny, with blonde hair and terrified blue eyes. The smugglers claimed they were transporting her to relatives in the outer colonies, but their paperwork was obvious forgery, and their story had more holes than a meteor-struck hull. We arrested the entire crew and placed the child in protective custody while we sorted out the legal mess. That was the term we used, protective custody. It sounded much better than what it actually was. We locked her in a cell, not because we wanted to, understand, but because we had nowhere else to put her. The facility had no accommodations for children, no soft rooms, no caregivers, no toys or comfort items, just cold metal cells designed to hold criminals and security risks. The girl, whose name we learned was Emma, did not speak much. She sat in her cell, ate the food we gave her, and stared at the walls with those huge, empty eyes. Our medical officer said she was healthy enough physically, just malnourished and exhausted. Emotionally, though, she was shutting down. After 2 weeks of legal delays and bureaucratic nonsense, my supervisor made a decision that I argued against. He ordered Emma to be restrained. His reasoning was that she had started acting erratically, pacing her cell, scratching at the walls, making strange noises at night. He was worried she might hurt herself, so he authorized the use of physical restraints, heavy ones, durasteel shackles, the kind we used for violent offenders. They locked around her wrists and ankles, chaining her to the wall of her cell. She could sit, she could lie down, but she could not move more than a meter in any direction. I filed an official complaint. I said it was inhumane, unnecessary, and probably illegal under at least 15 different galactic statutes regarding the treatment of juveniles. My supervisor dismissed my concerns. He said it was temporary, just until we could arrange proper transport to a child services facility. That was 5 days ago. Emma stopped eating after that, stopped talking entirely, just sat there, staring at nothing, while the chains rattled every time she moved. I checked on her every shift, brought her extra food, tried to talk to her, even brought her some colored drawing materials that she ignored completely. Nothing worked. She was disappearing right in front of us, retreating into some place deep inside herself where the horror could not reach. I was planning to override my supervisor and remove the restraints myself. Consequences be damned. I could not watch this anymore. But then the animal arrived, and everything changed. It happened on night shift, around 0300 hours. I was doing my rounds, checking the security monitors, when I heard it. A sound like metal scraping against metal, coming from the detention wing. That should not have been possible. The detention wing was sealed, locked down tight, with motion sensors and pressure plates covering every square centimeter. Nothing got in or out without authorization. I grabbed my shock rifle and headed down the corridor, my partner Velis right behind me. We moved quickly but cautiously, weapons ready, expecting intruders or maybe a malfunctioning door system. What we found was infinitely stranger. There was something in the corridor outside Emma's cell, something small and low to the ground, covered in coarse gray and black fur, with a distinctive white stripe running from its head down its back. At first, I thought it was some kind of maintenance drone that had gotten loose. Then it turned its head, and I saw the beady black eyes, the pointed snout, and the absolutely fearless way it stared at us, despite the fact that we were both pointing weapons at it. "What in the seven hells is that?" Velis whispered. I accessed my wrist computer, running a quick biological scan. The results came back almost immediately, pulling data from the xenobiology database. Species, Mellivora capensis. Common name, honey badger. Origin, Earth. Classification, mustelid. Threat level, do not engage. It is an Earth animal, I said slowly. A honey badger. How did an Earth animal get onto this station? We are 12 parsecs from any human colony. Good question. Excellent question, in fact. One I did not have an answer for. The honey badger ignored us completely. It turned back to what it had been doing before we arrived, which appeared to be examining the door to Emma's cell. Should we stun it? Velas asked, raising his rifle. Wait. Just wait a moment. Something about this felt wrong. The timing was too coincidental. A human child locked in chains, and suddenly an Earth animal appears in a supposedly secure facility? That was not random chance. The honey badger sniffed at the door seam, then made a chittering sound that reminded me oddly of laughter. It reared up on its hind legs, placed its front paws against the door, and pushed the biometric lock, which required retinal scans and authorization codes to open. Simply, it clicked open. That is not possible, Velas breathed. But it had happened. The door slid open smoothly, as if the honey badger had every right to be there. It trotted inside. We rushed after it. Protocols forgotten. Both of us too stunned to think clearly. Inside the cell, Emma was sitting exactly where I had left her hours ago, chains hanging from her wrists and ankles, staring at the wall with dead eyes. The honey badger walked right up to her and made a low grumbling sound. Emma's head turned slowly. She looked down at the animal, and for the first time in days, something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or hope. Badger, she whispered. Her voice was so hoarse it barely qualified as sound. You came. The animal made that chittering sound again, and sniffed at her chains. Then it bit them. Not the lock mechanism, not the weak points where metal joined metal. It just clamped its jaws directly onto one of the durasteel links and bit down. The sound was horrific. Metal, screaming under pressure. The honey badger's teeth should have shattered. The chain should have been unmarked. Instead, the chain bent. Impossible, I heard myself say. That chain is rated to hold 2 tons of force. The honey badger did not care about ratings or specifications. It bit down harder, its powerful neck muscles bunching under its fur, and the durasteel link began to deform like soft clay. Then it snapped, just broke clean through, the severed ends falling away as the honey badger moved to the next chain. Stop it, Velas shouted, finally recovering from his shock. It is destroying secure restraints. That is a violation of protocol. He raised his rifle. I knocked the barrel aside. Are you insane? Look at what that thing just did. If it can bite through durasteel, what do you think your shock rifle is going to accomplish except making it angry? Velas looked at the broken chain, then at the honey badger, then back at me. His face went very pale. What is it? It is a honey badger, I repeated, watching as the creature methodically destroyed the second chain. According to the database, they are known for having extremely powerful jaws, loose skin that makes them difficult to injure, and an absolute refusal to back down from anything. Ever. They have been documented fighting lions, hyenas, and venomous snakes, and winning. That is a children's animal? From Earth? Earth is apparently a terrifying place. The third chain broke. Then the fourth. Within 2 minutes, all of Emma's restraints lay in pieces on the floor, and the honey badger sat back on its haunches, looking extremely pleased with itself. Emma stared at her freed wrists, touching the red marks where the shackles had been. Tears started running down her face. Not sobbing, just silent tears that cut at something deep in my chest. Thank you, she whispered to the animal. Thank you, Badger. The honey badger made a softer sound this time, almost gentle, and butted its head against her leg. That was when my supervisor's voice crackled over the comm system. Security, what is happening down there? I am showing a breach in cell 47. I looked at Velas. He looked at me. We both looked at the honey badger, which had somehow infiltrated our maximum security facility, bypassed every lock and sensor, and destroyed reinforced restraints with its teeth. We have a situation, I said carefully into my comm. You should probably come down here and see this yourself. What kind of situation? How did I even begin to explain this? An Earth animal has freed the human child from her restraints. A long pause. An Earth animal. In our facility. That broke durasteel chains. Yes, sir. Then, have you been drinking on duty? I wish I had been, sir. It would make this make more sense. 10 minutes later, my supervisor arrived with half the security team. They all stood in the doorway, staring at the scene in complete disbelief. Emma had curled up in the corner, and the honey badger had positioned itself directly in front of her in a clear defensive posture. Its lips were pulled back slightly, showing teeth that had just bitten through metal like it was paper. Somebody explain this to me, my supervisor said in the tone of someone whose entire worldview was collapsing. Right now. Professor Gilreth from our science division pushed through the crowd. She was a Zentarian, all scales and analytical intelligence, and she practically vibrated with excitement as she stared at the honey badger. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Do you know how rare these creatures are in documented space? There are maybe 3 dozen of them off Earth at any given time. They do not adapt well to captivity. They refuse to be trained, and they are nearly impossible to transport because they escape from everything. That does not explain how it got here, my supervisor snapped. No, but it might explain why it is here, Gilreth said, pulling out her scanning equipment. Honey badgers are not social creatures typically, but there are documented cases of them forming bonds with humans. Strong bonds, unbreakable bonds. If this child had such a bond with this particular honey badger before she was taken, it is possible the animal tracked her across multiple star systems. Tracked her? Across space? They are remarkably persistent. There are stories, legends really, of honey badgers pursuing prey or defending territory over incredible distances and time periods. They simply do not give up. Ever. About anything. She aimed her scanner at the broken chains. And the bite force required to snap durasteel like this? A honey badger's jaw can exert approximately 700 kilopascals of pressure, concentrated through teeth, designed to crack bone and tear through tough hide. It is not enough to break this metal under normal circumstances, but combine that with the leverage from their neck muscles, their complete lack of fear or hesitation, and an apparent willingness to ignore pain. They bite through things that should be impossible. So you are telling me, my supervisor said slowly, that this animal somehow followed a smuggling ship across 12 parsecs, infiltrated a secure military facility, bypassed all our security measures, and broke through chains that could hold a Crothian warrior, all to rescue this one specific child? Yes, Gilreth said simply. That is exactly what I am telling you. Because that is what honey badgers do. They do not care about impossible. They do not care about dangerous. They do not care about secure. They care about what they want, and nothing in this universe will stop them from getting it. The honey badger, as if to punctuate her point, made a low growling sound that somehow conveyed absolute confidence and zero concern for the 15 armed guards currently pointing weapons at it. Emma wrapped her thin arms around the animal's neck, burying her face in its fur. I knew you would find me, she whispered. I told them you would come, but they did not believe me. My supervisor rubbed his face with both hands. This is going to be an absolute nightmare to report. Central Command will think I have lost my mind. What do we do with them? Veles asked quietly. Good question. We had a child who had been illegally trafficked and then illegally restrained. We had an Earth animal that had just demonstrated it could bypass every security measure we possessed. And we had a situation that was clearly far outside normal protocols. I made a decision. Probably a bad one from a career standpoint, but the right one nonetheless. We contact Earth authorities immediately, I said. We explain the situation, we arrange immediate transport for Emma back to human space, and we let her keep the honey badger with her, because I am not about to try separating them, and neither should anyone else who values their fingers. That animal is a security threat. That animal just did our job better than we did. I shot back. It rescued a child who was being illegally detained and restrained. Maybe we should be thanking it instead of treating it like a threat. My supervisor looked like he wanted to argue, but he looked at Emma's face, at the first real emotion we had seen from her in weeks, and something in his expression softened. Fine. Contact Earth, arrange transport, and get someone to bring food appropriate for both a human child and a… He gestured helplessly at the honey badger, whatever that is. Honey badger. Sir, I do not care if it is called a fluffy sunshine creature. Just feed it, And make sure it does not eat through any more of our infrastructure." Professor Gilreth moved closer, her scanner still running. "I would not recommend getting too close. Honey badgers have been known to attack when they feel threatened. And given that this one just broke through durasteel, I do not want to imagine what it could do to organic tissue." As if to demonstrate, the honey badger yawned, showing an impressive array of very sharp teeth. Everyone took a step back. Everyone except Emma, who smiled for the first time since we had found her. A small, tired smile, but real. "Badger does not hurt friends," she said quietly. "Only bad people. The smugglers were bad people, so Badger bit them. You are not bad people, you are just confused." Out of the mouths of children, she had summarized our entire security team's competence in one simple sentence. Over the next few hours, we made arrangements, contacted Earth authorities, who were simultaneously relieved to locate Emma and absolutely furious about her treatment. They promised to send a ship immediately, along with legal representatives and, apparently, a specialized animal handler who had experience with honey badgers. I was not sure what kind of person specialized in handling creatures that could bite through metal and fear nothing, but I suspected they were either very brave or very crazy. Possibly both. In the meantime, we moved Emma and her honey badger to more comfortable quarters. Not a cell, but an actual guest room with a real bed, soft blankets, and proper lighting. We brought her food, water, and some entertainment materials. The honey badger inspected everything thoroughly, sniffing every corner and scratching at anything it deemed suspicious. It was simultaneously adorable and terrifying, especially when I remembered what those claws and teeth could do. Emma ate properly for the first time in days, with the honey badger sitting beside her, occasionally stealing bits of food from her plate. She did not seem to mind. Actually, she laughed when it happened, a sound that was almost painful to hear after so much silence. "How did Badger find you?" I asked, sitting at a respectful distance. "We are so far from Earth." Emma shrugged, petting the animal's head. "Badger always finds me. Always. Mommy said I found Badger when I was 3. There was a man who brought Earth, animals to our colony, and Badger was in a cage, but the cage was too small and wrong, so I opened it. Badger came home with me, and we have been together ever since." "Your parents let you keep a honey badger as a pet?" She looked at me like I had said something incredibly foolish. "Badger is not a pet. Badger is family, and nobody tells Badger what to do anyway. Badger does what Badger wants. Right now, Badger wants to be with me, so Badger is here." Simple logic, unshakable logic, delivered by a 7-year-old child. "The smugglers took you from your colony?" Her face went dark. "Bad men came. They said they had work for Mommy and Daddy, but it was a lie. They took me instead, put me on their ship. Badger tried to stop them, but they shot at Badger with stun guns. I thought they killed Badger. I cried for days. But Badger survived. Badger always survives. Nothing can kill Badger. Badger is too stubborn." I believed her. After what I had seen tonight, I believed every word. "The smugglers should not have done that," I said quietly. "What they did was very wrong. And we should not have put chains on you. That was wrong too. I am sorry, Emma. I tried to stop it, but I did not try hard enough." She studied me with those 2 old eyes. "You brought me food. You talked to me. You were kind. That matters." "Not enough. More than nothing." The honey badger made a sound that might have been agreement, then settled down with its head on Emma's lap. I left them there, warm and safe and together, and went to finish my shift. But I could not stop thinking about what Professor Gilreth had said. Honey badgers do not give up. They do not accept defeat. They do not care about impossible odds or overwhelming obstacles. They simply keep going until they get what they want. What a terrifying philosophy. What an incredibly, beautifully terrifying philosophy. The Earth transport arrived 3 days later. The pilot was a grizzled human woman named Captain Torres, and she brought with her 2 lawyers, a child psychologist, and a very nervous-looking man who introduced himself as a wildlife specialist. "Where is the honey badger?" he asked immediately, looking around with the expression of someone expecting an imminent attack. "With Emma, in quarters 23, I said. "They have been inseparable since the rescue." "Rescue?" Captain Torres's voice was flat. Is that what we are calling it? Because from the report I read, it sounds more like a jailbreak. The child should never have been detained in the first place, Captain. The honey badger simply corrected a mistake by biting through durasteel restraints. Yes. She stared at me for a long moment, then laughed. A sharp, barking laugh that startled everyone in the docking bay. Earth animals. You have to love them. No sense, no fear, just pure determination and teeth. I have seen house cats that could intimidate security guards. I once watched a goose chase off an armed robbery. But a honey badger tracking someone across multiple star systems and breaking through maximum security? That is a new one. Even for humans. Your planet breeds very alarming creatures, Captain. You should see our spiders. I decided I did not want to know. We escorted them to Emma's quarters. The child psychologist went in first, moving slowly and carefully, clearly briefed on both the trauma Emma had experienced and the presence of a protective animal. Emma was sitting on the bed, braiding the honey badger's fur into small, crooked patterns. The animal tolerated this with surprising patience. Emma? The psychologist said softly. My name is Dr. Sarah Kim. I am here to make sure you are okay and to help take you home. Is that all right? Emma looked up, her expression cautious. Home to Mommy and Daddy? Yes, sweetheart. We contacted them. They have been looking for you ever since you were taken. They were so happy to hear you are safe. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. I want to go home. We are going to make that happen. Today. Right now, if you are ready. But first, I need to ask you something important. This is Badger, right? Emma nodded, hugging the animal protectively. Badger came a very long way to find you. That must have been hard for Badger. Badger is strong and stubborn. Nothing stops Badger. I believe that, Dr. Kim said with a smile. Do you want Badger to come home with you? Emma's eyes went wide with panic. Yes, Badger has to come. You cannot leave Badger here. Badger will be sad. We are not leaving Badger, I promise. Badger is coming home with you. I just needed to make sure that is what you wanted. The relief on Emma's face was profound. Captain Torres stepped forward. All right, kiddo. Let us get you and your attack badger out of this place and back where you belong. My ship has proper quarters, real food, and your parents waiting on the other end of a comlink who really, really want to see your face. Emma stood up, the honey badger, immediately moving to stand beside her. They looked at me, and Emma held out her hand. Thank you, Mr. Kravos. You were kind when others were not. I will remember that. I shook her tiny hand carefully. I will remember you too, Emma. And Badger. Definitely Badger. The honey badger, as if understanding it was being discussed, made a sound that might have been pride or satisfaction or possibly just indigestion. It was hard to tell with honey badgers. As they left, the wildlife specialist fell into step beside me. I have to ask, when it broke the chains, did it seem to struggle at all? No, I admitted. It bit through durasteel like it was paper. 4 chains, maybe 2 minutes total. He shook his head in amazement. Do you know what the bite force of a honey badger is compared to other earth animals? They are not the strongest. Not even close. But they have something else, something that does not show up in measurements. They have will. Absolute, unshakable will. When a honey badger decides something is going to happen, the universe just has to accept it and get out of the way. That sounds less like an animal and more like a force of nature. That is because honey badgers are a force of nature. Teeth, claws, bad attitude, and zero fear. We have a saying on Earth, honey badger does not care. It is a joke, but it is also completely accurate. They do not care about danger, pain, obstacles, or consequences. They care about their goal, and everything else can go straight to hell. I watched Emma and the honey badger walk down the corridor together, the small child, and the even smaller animal, and I felt something like awe. Remind me never to visit Earth, I muttered. The specialist laughed. Smart choice. Though honestly, honey badgers are not even in our top 10 scariest species. That honor belongs to things like hippos, box jellyfish, and saltwater crocodiles. I do not want to know. Probably wise. They left on the transport ship that afternoon. Emma waved from the viewport, the honey badger sitting on her shoulder like some kind of fierce, furry guardian spirit. My supervisor watched them go, then turned to me with a tired expression. This never happened. Sir? According to the official report, the child was released into Earth custody as soon as legal issues were resolved. No mention of break-ins, destroyed restraints, or animals that bite through metal. Central Command does not need to know that our maximum security facility was defeated by a creature that weighs maybe 15 kilograms. Understood, sir. And then, good work. Questionable judgment on several occasions, but good work overall. High praise, coming from him. That night, I filed my report as instructed, leaving out all the interesting parts. But I kept the security footage. Saved it to a personal drive where no one else would find it. Sometimes, when duty and protocols and regulations felt too heavy, I watched that footage. Watched a small Earth animal bite through impossible barriers to reach someone it loved. Watched proof that determination and loyalty and sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat could overcome anything. The galaxy had bigger creatures, stronger creatures, smarter creatures. But after meeting one honey badger, I understood something important. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is not size or strength or intelligence. Sometimes it is just something small and determined that absolutely, positively refuses to give up. Honey badger does not care about your security measures. Honey badger does not care about your protocols. Honey badger cares about one thing, and everything else can get out of the way or get bitten. And that, I think, is the most terrifying thing of all. The emergency alarm shrieked through station Verexa 9 at exactly 0600 hours, 3 months after Emma and her honey badger had left. I jolted awake in my quarters, already reaching for my uniform before my brain fully processed what was happening. All security personnel report to command center immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. I ran through the corridors, joining streams of other personnel, all of us confused and worried. Emergency protocols meant genuine danger, and out here on the frontier, danger came in many forms. Pirates, equipment failures, hostile aliens, reactor malfunctions. Take your pick. When I burst into the command center, my supervisor was standing at the main console, his face a shade I had never seen before. Not quite fear, not quite anger. Something worse. Disbelief mixed with dread. Then, finally, get over here and tell me I am hallucinating. I pushed through to his station and looked at the screen. What I saw made my blood freeze. There were ships approaching. Lots of ships. The sensors showed at least 40 vessels in a rough formation, moving toward our station with clear, hostile intent. The ship classifications ranged from small fighters to medium destroyers, all bearing the markings of the Corthan Syndicate, the same pirate group that had destroyed Emma's colony. They are hailing us, the communications officer reported, her voice shaking. Audio only. Put it through, my supervisor ordered. The voice that came through was deep, rough, and absolutely confident. Attention, Verexa Station. This is Commander Rethok of the Corthan Syndicate. You have something that belongs to us. 3 months ago, you intercepted one of our acquisition teams and confiscated valuable cargo. We want it back. My supervisor activated his microphone. We are a registered mining facility under Galactic Compact protection. Any hostile action against this station will be considered an act of war against the Compact itself. Stand down immediately. Rethok laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. The Compact has no jurisdiction in this sector, and you know it. We claim salvage rights on everything your people took from our ship. That includes the human, juvenile. Return her, and we leave peacefully. Refuse, and we take her by force, along with everything else of value on your station. The child is not here. She was returned to human custody months ago. A pause. Then Rethok's voice came back, colder now. Then you have nothing to bargain with. Kill the shields. Prepare to be boarded. Resist. And we will vent every section of your station into space. You have 5 minutes to comply. The communication cut off. Silence filled the command center. The kind of silence that comes right before everything falls apart. Options? My supervisor asked quietly. We have defensive weapons, the tactical officer said. But against 40 ships? We might take down a few, but they will overwhelm us in minutes. Our shields can hold for maybe 20 minutes under sustained assault before the generators overheat. Evacuation? Not enough time. Even if we loaded everyone onto every shuttle and transport, We could not get clear before they opened fire. They would just shoot us down. Distress signal? Already sent. Nearest compact patrol is 6 hours away. 6 hours. We had 5 minutes. My supervisor slumped into his chair, suddenly looking much older. Suggestions? Anyone? Because I am open to miracles right about now. That was when Professor Gilreth spoke up from her corner of the command center. She had been working quietly on her portable console, her scaled fingers flying across the interface. I may have something. It is insane, completely unprecedented, and probably will not work, but it is better than nothing. I am listening. She pulled up a communication log on the main screen. 3 days ago, I received a message. From Earth. Specifically, from Emma Torres and her family. They wanted to thank the station for taking care of her, and they attached a personal message for you, then. I blinked. For me? You were kind to her. She remembered. The message is mostly a video of her at home, happy and safe, showing her room and her toys. Very sweet, very normal. Except for one part. Gilreth highlighted a timestamp. 43 seconds in, she says something interesting. Would you like to hear it? She played the clip. Emma's face appeared on screen, smiling and healthy, completely transformed from the broken child we had rescued. Behind her, I could see her room, colorful and warm and filled with the chaos of childhood. And sitting on her bed, looking directly at the camera with those beady, intelligent eyes, was the honey badger. Emma's voice came through, clear and cheerful. Mr. Kravos, thank you for being nice to me when I was scared. Badger says thank you too. Badger also says that if anyone ever bothers you, you should tell us. Because Badger does not forget friends, and Badger really does not like bad people. Badger remembers the bad people who hurt me, all of them. Bye. The video ended. My supervisor stared at the blank screen. Professor, are you suggesting what I think you are suggesting? The Corthan Syndicate is the same group that massacred Emma's colony. The same group whose members Emma and her honey badger fought. That honey badger traveled across 12 parsecs to find Emma once. It broke through our maximum security to free her. And according to follow-up reports from Earth authorities, it has shown signs of exceptional intelligence and, dare I say, memory. You want to contact a child and ask her pet to help us fight off a pirate fleet. It is not a pet. It is a honey badger. And yes, that is exactly what I am suggesting. Because right now, we have 4 minutes and no better ideas. That is insane. So is everything else about that animal. It should not have been able to track Emma. It should not have been able to infiltrate this station. It should not have been able to break durasteel. But it did all of those things anyway, because honey badgers do not care about should not. They care about can and will. My supervisor looked at me. Then, you spent the most time with the child. Do you think there is any chance this could work? I thought about Emma's absolute confidence in her honey badger. The way she had said Badger always finds me. Always. The way that small animal had moved through our facility like it owned the place. Like locked doors and security systems were minor inconveniences rather than actual barriers. I think, I said slowly, that if Emma asks that honey badger to help, it will move heaven and hell to do it. The question is whether it can get here in time and what exactly it can do against 40 armed ships. 3 minutes. The tactical officer announced. Professor Gilreth was already opening a priority communication channel to Earth. We do not have time to debate. Either we try this, or we surrender, and hope the pirates feel merciful, which historically they do not. Do it, my supervisor said, and may whatever gods are listening forgive us for involving a child in this mess. The connection took precious seconds to establish. Earth was far away, and real-time communication required massive amounts of power and bandwidth. But finally, the screen flickered to life. Emma's face appeared, older by 3 months, her hair longer and neater. She was in what looked like a living area, holding a plate of food. Behind her, I could see her parents, normal-looking humans going about their evening routine. Mr. Kravos? She looked surprised but happy. Hi. Did you get my message? Did you like it? Emma, sweetheart, we have an emergency. I tried to keep my voice calm, but I could hear it shaking. Very bad people are attacking our station, the same bad people who hurt your colony. We need help, and we need it fast. Is Badger there? Her expression changed instantly. The happiness vanished, replaced by something hard and angry. She looked so much older suddenly, like she was remembering things no child should have to remember. The bad people? The same ones? Yes. The Corthan Syndicate. They are demanding we surrender in 2 minutes, or they will kill everyone on this station. Emma put down her plate very carefully. Then she called out, "Badger, come here. Now." The honey badger appeared from somewhere off-screen, moving with that distinctive rolling gait. It looked at Emma, then at the screen, and I swear on my ancestors it recognized me. Its eyes narrowed. Emma knelt down beside it, speaking quickly in a low voice. I could not hear everything she said, but I caught words like, bad people, friends, help, and bite. The honey badger made a sound I had never heard before, a deep rumbling growl that seemed to come from somewhere primal and furious. Emma looked back at the screen. How far away are you? 12 parsecs, same distance as before. Badger says that is too far to walk. Badger needs a ship. Her mother appeared on screen, looking alarmed. Emma, what is happening? Who are these people? The friends who helped me, Mommy. The bad people are trying to hurt them. Badger has to go help. Absolutely not. Emma, you are not sending your badger halfway across the galaxy. But Emma was not listening. She was looking at the honey badger with absolute trust and certainty. Can you get there, Badger? Can you help them like you helped me? The honey badger looked at the screen, looked at Emma, then made a decisive chittering sound. Badger says yes. Emma translated. Badger also says you need to tell those bad people that they made a big mistake. The biggest mistake. Because Badger is coming, and Badger is very, very angry. 1 minute, the tactical officer shouted. Emma's father appeared now too, trying to understand what was happening. What are you people asking my daughter to do? She is 8 years old. We are asking her honey badger to save 700 lives, I said bluntly. I know how it sounds. I know it is impossible. But 3 months ago, that animal did 6 impossible things before breakfast. So, either we try this, or we die. Those are the options. Emma's parents looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that parents have. Then her mother closed her eyes and nodded. There is a cargo transport leaving the orbital station in 20 minutes, she said. It is heading toward your sector, stopping at multiple stations along the way. If we can get clearance, we can put the honey badger on board. But it will take at least 2 days to reach you, and that is if everything goes perfectly. We do not have 2 days, my supervisor shouted. We have 30 seconds. Emma hugged the honey badger tightly. Badger, I need you to go fast. Faster than before. Faster than anything. Can you do that? The honey badger licked her face once, then jumped down and headed toward the door. Wait, Emma's father called. We need to catch it, get it to the transport, file the paperwork. But the honey badger was already gone, moving with purpose toward some destination only it understood. Then, Emma said seriously, looking at me through the screen, you have to wait. You have to hold on until Badger gets there. Badger does not break promises. If Badger says it is coming, no matter what. Time's up, the tactical officer announced. They are powering weapons. My supervisor hit the emergency protocol. All hands, battle stations, activate shields, prepare for defensive action. The first missile impacts rocked the station. Our shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the blasts, but I could see the power readings already dropping. 20 minutes if we were lucky. Probably less. Emma's transmission cut out as we diverted all power to defensive systems. This is suicide, someone muttered. Then we die protecting people, my supervisor said firmly. Just like we signed up to do. All weapons, return fire, make them work for it. The battle was brutal and one-sided. Our defensive cannons took down 3 attacking fighters in the first 5 minutes, but there were so many more. They swarmed around us like angry insects, pounding our shields with everything they had. 15 minutes in, our shield generators hit critical temperatures. We vented emergency coolant, bought ourselves another 5 minutes. 20 minutes in, a lucky shot from one of their destroyers punched through a weak point in our shields and hit the docking bay. Explosive decompression killed 8 people before emergency bulkheads sealed. 25 minutes, shields at 30%, hull breaches on 3 decks. Fires in 2 sections. Casualty reports flooding in. Commander Rethok's voice came through again, smug and satisfied. Had enough yet? Surrender now, and we will only kill half of you. Resist further, and everyone dies screaming. My supervisor's hand hovered over the surrender beacon. I could see him doing the math, weighing the certainty of some deaths against the possibility of all deaths. Sir, I said quietly. Emma said Badger does not break promises. Badger is 2 days away and cannot fly a ship. Badger also cannot bite through durasteel, but it did. Cannot track someone across 12 parsecs, but it did. Cannot break into maximum security, but it did. Maybe Badger cannot fly a ship, or maybe Badger does not care about cannot. He looked at me like I had lost my mind. Maybe I had. But I had seen what that animal could do when it decided something needed to happen. 5 more minutes, my supervisor said finally. We hold for 5 more minutes. Then we have to make a choice. Those 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. The station shook continuously under the barrage. More hull breaches, more casualties, more systems failing. Our shields dropped to 20%, then 15, then 10, and then something impossible happened. The pirate fleet stopped firing. Just stopped, all at once, like someone had flipped a switch. What are they doing? The tactical officer asked, confused. Running new scans. Another officer reported. They are picking up something. A massive energy signature, approaching at incredible speed. It is moving faster than anything I have ever seen. Way faster than any ship this size should be capable of. Another fleet? Reinforcements? No, sir. It is just one ship. Small. Looks like a modified cargo transport. But the engine readings are off the charts. It is burning through fuel at an impossible rate, running the engines at what should be catastrophic overload levels. I felt something cold and bright bloom in my chest. Hope, maybe. Or vindication. How long until it arrives? At current speed? 90 seconds. Commander Rethok's voice came through, sounding angry and confused. Unknown vessel. Identify yourself immediately. This is a restricted combat zone. No response from the approaching ship. Final warning. Identify or be fired upon. Still nothing. The pirate fleet opened fire on the approaching transport. Missiles, energy weapons, everything they had. The small ship should have been vaporized instantly. Instead, it jinked, rolled, and dove through the barrage with flying maneuvers that should have torn the ship apart from the G-forces alone. It moved like it was alive, like it was angry, dodging with impossible precision. How is anyone surviving those maneuvers? Someone breathed. The pilot should be unconscious or dead from the acceleration. The transport did not slow down. If anything, it sped up. It screamed toward the pirate fleet at speeds that should have been fatal. Then at the last possible second, it rotated 180 degrees and fired its braking thrusters at maximum power. The ship slammed to a relative stop directly in the middle of the pirate formation, surrounded by 40 hostile vessels. Then its cargo bay doors blew off. Something small and dark shot out of the cargo bay, moving so fast it was almost a blur on our sensors. It hit the nearest pirate fighter, and the ship's hull simply ruptured like someone had punched through paper. What was that? My supervisor shouted. What just hit their ship? Professor Gilreth was staring at her sensors, her scaled face gone pale. According to these readings, it was approximately 15 kilograms of pure, concentrated rage. The honey badger moved through the pirate fleet like a natural disaster. It somehow propelled itself between ships using small bursts from what looked like a stolen EVA thruster pack strapped to its back. Completely impossible, completely impractical, and completely effective. It hit another fighter, more ruptured hull. Then a third, a fourth. The pirates finally started to understand what was happening and opened fire. Energy weapons, missiles, everything converging on one small target. The honey badger did not care. It twisted, dove, and spun through the weapon's fire with the same fearless aggression it had shown breaking into our station. When a missile got too close, it actually grabbed the missile with its paws, redirected it toward another pirate ship, and rode the explosion to its next target. That is not possible, someone whispered. Honey badger does not care about possible, I said, unable to look away from the display. The animal landed on one of the larger destroyer-class ships and started tearing into its hull with claws and teeth. Metal that should have resisted anything short of plasma cutters peeled away like fruit skin. The honey badger disappeared inside the ship. 10 seconds later, the destroyer's engines exploded from the inside. Commander Rethok's voice came through the comms, no longer smug, now just confused and terrified. "What is that thing? What are you sending against us?" My supervisor activated his microphone, and I heard something like grim satisfaction in his voice. "That is a honey badger, Commander, an Earth animal. Specifically, it belongs to a little girl you and your people tried to hurt, and apparently, honey badgers hold grudges." Another pirate ship exploded. Then another. The honey badger moved through the fleet systematically, choosing targets with clear intelligence. It was not attacking randomly. It was going for command vessels, engine sections, weapon systems, critical targets that would cripple the fleet's effectiveness. The pirates started to break formation, ships peeling away in panic. But the honey badger was faster. It pursued them relentlessly, using that stolen EVA pack to launch itself from ship to ship, leaving destruction in its wake. "It is not trying to kill them all," Professor Gilreth observed. "It is trying to disable them. Look at the damage patterns. Engines, weapons, life support. It is making sure they cannot fight and cannot flee, but leaving the crew sections mostly intact. Why would it do that? Because Emma is a good child who does not want unnecessary death, and that animal loves her enough to show restraint even when furious. It is terrifying and beautiful at the same time." The battle, if you could call it that, lasted another 8 minutes. By the end, the Korthon Syndicate fleet was completely disabled, ships drifting powerless, unable to fight or run, their crews trapped inside waiting to be arrested by compact authorities. And in the middle of all that destruction, one small honey badger floated in space, its stolen EVA pack sputtering on empty. "Get a shuttle out there," I shouted. "Retrieve that animal before its air runs out." "Already on it," Velis called back, suiting up for emergency EVA. We watched on the external cameras as Velis approached the honey badger carefully, moving slowly despite the urgency. The animal watched him approach, made its chittering sound, then allowed itself to be picked up and carried back to the shuttle. When they brought it into the docking bay, a crowd had gathered. 700 station personnel, all wanting to see the creature that had just saved their lives. The honey badger looked around at all of us with those beady eyes, still wearing the remains of the EVA pack. It was covered in scorch marks, its fur singed in places, clearly exhausted. But it was alive, and it looked remarkably pleased with itself. I stepped forward slowly, kneeling down to be less threatening. "Thank you, Badger. You saved us, all of us." The honey badger made a softer sound, less aggressive, almost gentle. Then it walked over and headbutted my leg lightly before sitting down and beginning to groom itself, as if completely obliterating a pirate fleet was just normal afternoon exercise. "Someone get this animal food, water, and whatever else it needs," my supervisor ordered. "And someone contact Emma Torres and tell her that her friend has fulfilled its promise. Also tell her that we are very, very grateful, and that she can visit this station anytime she wants, with or without the honey badger, though preferably with because I never want to be on that animal's bad side." The next few hours were chaos. Compact authorities arrived to arrest the disabled pirates. Medical teams treated our wounded. Repair crews began fixing the damage. And through it all, the honey badger sat in our command center, eating imported Earth food that someone had frantically ordered from the commissary, accepting pets and praise from anyone brave enough to approach. When we finally re-established communication with Emma, her face appeared on screen looking worried and hopeful. "Did Badger make it? Is everyone okay?" "Everyone is fine because of Badger," I assured her. "Your friend is a hero, Emma. A genuine, certified hero." She smiled so brightly it hurt to look at. "I told you Badger does not break promises. Can I talk to Badger?" We angled the camera down. The honey badger looked up at Emma's face on the screen and made a happy chittering sound. "Good Badger," Emma said proudly. "Best Badger. You did so good. When you come home, I will give you all the treats. All of them." The honey badger's expression, as much as a honey badger could have expressions, looked smug. "How did it even get here so fast?" my supervisor asked Emma's parents, who had appeared on screen beside their daughter. 2 days minimum travel time, and it arrived in 30 minutes. Emma's father looked exhausted. We are still trying to figure that out ourselves. After the Badger ran off, we tried to track it. Security footage from the orbital station shows it breaking into a cargo ship scheduled for your sector. Not the one we were planning to put it on, a different one. A military transport carrying urgency supplies. It stowed away? Worse. It went directly to the engine room and somehow, we still do not understand how, convinced the pilot that the engines needed to be run at absolute maximum capacity. No stops, no delays, full emergency burn. The pilot said the Badger sat in his cockpit the entire time, staring at him, and he just knew that if he did not go as fast as possible, something terrible would happen to him. The Badger threatened him? Not exactly. The pilot said it was more like a suggestion. A very, very strong suggestion delivered entirely through aggressive eye contact. I looked at the honey badger, which was now cleaning its paws with complete innocence. So it commandeered a military vessel through sheer intimidation. That appears to be what happened, yes. The pilot is filing a very confused report about it right now. Something about psychological warfare and having nightmares about small furry things. Professor Gilreth was reviewing the data from the honey badger's attack on the pirate fleet. I have analyzed the footage of the engagement. Do you know what I found? Evidence of planning. Strategic thinking. This animal did not just attack randomly. It assessed the fleet, identified priorities, and executed a systematic dismantling of their combat capability while minimizing casualties. That requires intelligence far beyond what we have documented for Earth animals. Maybe, I said, quietly, watching the honey badger on screen, we have been measuring intelligence wrong. Maybe being smart is not just about complex thinking or tool use. Maybe sometimes being smart is knowing exactly what you want and refusing to let anything stop you from getting it. Badger wanted to save Emma. Then Badger wanted to save us. So Badger did. Simple, direct, effective, and terrifying. Definitely terrifying. We arranged for the honey badger to return home on a proper passenger vessel, this time with full authorization and a cabin to itself. The entire crew was briefed extensively on what they were transporting and why under no circumstances should they upset it. Before it left, I visited it one last time in the special quarters we had prepared. The honey badger was lying on a comfortable cushion, looking very pleased with life. Thank you, I said again, for everything. I will never forget what you did. It looked at me with those intelligent eyes and made a sound that might have been acknowledgement or might have been, you're welcome, or might have just been, obviously. Emma is very lucky to have you, and we are very lucky you consider us friends. The honey badger stood up, walked over, and allowed me to pet its head exactly once before moving away. High praise, according to the briefing materials on honey badger behavior. When it finally left on the transport, the entire station gathered at the observation windows to watch the ship depart. Someone started clapping. Then everyone joined in, a standing ovation for an animal that had done something impossible because someone it loved had asked for help. So, my supervisor said, standing beside me as we watched the ship disappear into the darkness of space. What did we learn from this experience? I thought about it. Thought about everything that had happened. The broken chains, the impossible rescue, the single-pod destruction of an entire pirate fleet. We learned that Earth is absolutely terrifying, and we should probably never make enemies with anyone from that planet. Because if humans themselves are anything like their animals, they will cross the galaxy, break through impossible barriers, and destroy entire fleets out of sheer stubbornness and love for their friends. Accurate assessment. Also, we learned that honey badgers do not care about impossible, do not care about dangerous, and definitely do not care about our security protocols. My supervisor laughed. A genuine, relieved laugh. Also accurate. Anything else? I smiled. We learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is not the biggest or strongest or smartest. Sometimes it is just something small and determined that loves someone very much, and will bite through anything to protect them, he added. And will bite through anything to protect them. I agreed. 3 months later, I received a package from Earth. Inside was a drawing from Emma. It showed the station, the pirate ships, and a very fierce-looking honey badger in the middle of everything, surrounded by explosions and stars. At the bottom, in careful childish handwriting, she had written, "Thank you for being Badger's friend. Badger does not have many friends because most people are scared. But you were kind. So you are our friend forever. Love, Emma and Badger. I hung that drawing in my office. And sometimes, when duty felt too heavy or protocols felt too rigid or I forgot why I was doing this job, I looked at it, and I remembered that somewhere in the galaxy, there was a small girl and her honey badger who proved that love and determination could overcome anything. Even durasteel chains. Even impossible distances. Even overwhelming odds. Because honey badger does not care about your obstacles. Honey badger cares about its friends. And nothing, absolutely nothing, will stop it from protecting them.